What's up, everybody? This is Patrick Onochi, and this is AI and Me. And this is the first time I'm going live itself, and I'm just trying to adjust my camera. So I hope you can hear me. I hope this is loud enough and you can hear me. So this is the first live I've seen anybody. So okay, but this is my first live, and I'm trying to just see how this works. So this is a late night live, 9:08. Again, maybe late night, but for me it's night. So I'm trying to do this live real quick and get some stuff out of my mind and some things off my on some stuff and go from there. Let's start again with let's start with what's going on with the tech layoffs. Currently, today we saw the massive layoffs happening in tech with approximately, I believe, approximately, I think 10,000 jobs or was expected, Microsoft was expected to basically lay off at least 10,000 individuals from their jobs. And everybody was basically shouting, "Oh, the layoffs, it's huge, it's massive, and it's going to be a problem." But what I'm seeing is the layoffs are just layoffs. And in retrospect, in terms of the bigger picture, in terms of the other jobs, there are more jobs than there are more layoffs. And everybody's anybody who's basically trying to use the layoffs as a way to generate fear, and it's just not worth it. Just go into Indeed, and my perspective is, well, this is what you do. You don't When they say all these layoffs, what you should do is go in Indeed, go to any job board, type in your specific career, and see the amount of jobs coming up. So when I go into Indeed and I just type data, there are more than 300,000 jobs that comes out in Indeed. And that again just surpasses that 10,000 in Microsoft. And again, there are more jobs than there are more layoffs. So the fear of that, we shouldn't be that scared of that. The layoffs will happen, but again, in retrospect and looking at it with with other jobs, there are more jobs and there are more layoffs. And we shouldn't be so scared and jumping on, oh, the jobs are the layoffs are coming. No, the layoffs are there, but there are again more jobs than there are layoffs. Again, go to D&D, type software engineer, type data scientist, type data analyst, type all that. There are more jobs than there are layoffs. And again, there are articles that even supports that individuals who even who got laid off find job quickly in next month to 2 months. They get they get rehired in maybe a different sector, but with the same skill set. I know data scientists who lost their job and got hired in a span of a month, but they went on vacation, so they decided they're going to take a long vacation rather than get go back to the office. And again, there are more jobs than there are more layoffs. So the hype of Microsoft and all that, don't be scared of that. Those are just hype, and it's not something you should dwell on. What you should dwell on is how can I improve my skill set and all that in order to basically land the next job or be more of value in your job. So again, in terms of the tech layoffs, don't fret. There are more jobs than there are more layoffs, and that's the whole gist of the tech layoffs. You shouldn't be when you especially when you see YouTube channels or you see blasted as tech layoffs. It's a huge problem. It's not. And mostly, if you look at it, most what they focus on are the tech layoffs and those FANG companies. But look at the health sector. Look at Cigna. Look at the health insurance. Look at the medical side. You don't see much layoffs in that, and they're always looking for tech workers. Look at the fast food industry. The same avenue. They're looking for tech workers. They're not firing. They're looking for. So do not focus on being so in so scared of, oh, there are a lot of tech layoffs. Yeah, they are, but it's minuscule compared to what's out there. So the tech layoffs you shouldn't be what you should be focusing on the skill set. So that's my main gist on tech, on the Microsoft and all that. And the next one of the next topic is the the famous Chat GPT. It's now basically the next sliced bread. It's everybody's talking about it. Chat GPT is doing this. Chat GPT is taking over the law industry. Chat GPT is taking over the health sector. Chat GPT is writing books. Chat GPT. To be honest with you, Chat GPT is AI, a great AI program. It's a great AI tool, and it's a revolutionizing tool right now. Yes, it's a tool. It's a baseline to build upon it. And even now, the creators of ChatGPT are in the talks with Google. So what I see that is as they're opening their database. Google is one of the highest search engines with a lot of data in there. So if ChatGPT has access to that data, imagine what what tools and what experiences you can experience with ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, it's a great algorithm, a great tool. And again, what's the question we also need to ask is what's under the hood of ChatGPT? Everybody, in order again, in order to fully utilize ChatGPT, you have to understand what it is. And everybody's telling you how to use it, but nobody's telling you what it is itself. It's again, nobody's telling. If you understand what it is, it's like the law. Why people how do people avoid certain amount of taxes and all that is because they understand the tax laws. It's the same thing with ChatGPT. How can you fully utilize it when you don't understand what it is itself? And ChatGPT on its own, it's a big revolutionized program that utilizes a transformer based algorithm. It's a big transformer based algorithm, a natural language processing algorithm. And what you should realize about ChatGPT, the source of ChatGPT is the data. Data is the biggest source of ChatGPT. The amount of data you have, the more, and again, the quality of data you have, the more useful ChatGPT is. So remember, like a vehicle, if you have bad fuel in a vehicle, it basically breaks down. If the fuel you have in your vehicle is tainted, the vehicle breaks down. The same thing with ChatGPT. If ChatGPT has bad source data, it basically breaks down. So the question is, how can you utilize ChatGPT and what is it itself? So ChatGPT utilizes a lot of data and looks at patterns and all that in data sets. And then utilize those patterns and utilize your questions and then use your questions to and goes to reference all that huge data source to basically answer your question. So it's a algorithm that utilizes a huge amount of data source. And that's where you need to start with ChatGPT, the data source. So imagine, for instance, if everybody is using ChatGPT and the data source it's in there and it's limited. At one point, the amount of the answers you start getting will become repeatable because again, it has a limited data source. But if you have now if you combine it with Google's huge data source, now you have a big, huge program in your hand, a big, useful tool in your hand, and that's why they're partnering with Google for that data source itself. So ChatGPT is a huge it's a huge algorithm that utilizes a data source. And if you can utilize that data source, you can basically utilize you can make a lot of money from it. So what I always think of, imagine what the next step will be. The next step is having proprietary access to a certain data source. For instance, if you have 20 20 paintings or 20 individuals who paint you different paintings, and you own those paintings and you own it, nobody else owns it, and you put it into your database server, now you have a unique data source for your unique chat GPT. So now you can when anybody wants to utilize your chat GPT algorithm and your chat GPT data source, it's unique. So if someone who's wants to create a painting, a unique painting, and you want to create a unique painting for a unique client, you have that access. You have that ability because ChatGPT at this point, you own the data source and you own your algorithm. The algorithm is good, but the most profitable part is the data source, your unique data source. If you own that unique data source, you own a whole profitable margin itself. And that's what ChatGPT is. So what you should be looking at is now the next step is not the ChatGPT, but the data source is the next step you should be looking at. Where are they getting their data source from? And for instance, nobody's talking about proprietary access. So for instance, if someone writes a paper and utilizes ChatGPT and then turns in that paper, where's the sources coming from? Can your professor or anybody penalize you for using a data source that wasn't clearly defined? That's some of the issues associated with ChatGPT itself. The data source. Where are you getting that data source from? There's a issue with that. So the whole aspect of ChatGPT is the data source. We need to look at the data source itself. Where's that data source coming from? If you have, if you start utilizing, if and again, if you want to be really profitable, you want to see the future of ChatGPT. This is how the future of ChatGPT will go. Someone who will take the ChatGPT algorithm, open source, take it, own it, then he will own his own server with his own data source itself. So, for instance, if I'm a local painter, or if I'm a artist, or if I'm selling NFTs as an artist, and I say, okay, I'm going to hire 50 artists. They're going to paint me 50 different paintings, and I'm going to take all their paintings and I'm going to digitize it and put it into my own server. Now I own that data source, and now I can put it in ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT can use those data sources to recreate new paintings for me. I own those sources. I own that data. I can sell it as many times as possible. That's where the next step is coming. The goal is the data source itself. Who owns it? Who who owns it, and how can I utilize it? And that's what ChatGPT will go into, and that's how it's going to be. It's going to be utilized. The same thing with any other AI algorithm itself. And one thing again, I'm one, and this is going to be different, but it's going to all center down AI and automation. And anytime I come onto this internet, all I hear is automation and AI. And I keep asking the question, what do you mean by automation? What do you think automation is? Somebody said automation is an algorithm. Okay, what is an algorithm? People have basically limited knowledge, but they sell a lot of stuff in the form of AI. A lot of stuff. Recently, I saw I saw someone made $30 million selling a chat, I think a bot that makes prediction for stock market. And I started laughing because how can you, an individual who has limited knowledge in mathematics, limited knowledge in AI, and knows how to use the is a trader and then sells you a bot. The first question is, how does okay, he knows how to trade. How did he convert his trading patterns, how he trades, into a mathematical algorithm and then sells it to you in form of a bot? That's the first question that you ask. Okay, you're a good trader, fine. How did you convert how you traded into a mathematical algorithm and then sell it to individuals, and then they buy it and say they believe the same algorithm will do the same thing he did for him, for everybody? And the question is, what kind of mathematical skills did he have to convert his trading patterns into a mathematical algorithm? Nobody asked that question, and I was laughing. $30 million, and he sold it to individuals for everybody paid. I think they paid 2,000 a pop or 3,000 a pop for a bot that probably did nothing. You had a 1% chance of actually making a correct prediction in the stock market. Do you know how difficult it is to predict the stock market itself? I've looked at algorithms. I've talked to quants. I've sat down with quants deriving equations, not only numerical analysis, but even with machine learning, AI, and the best we could do was 10%. But yet, and someone who has no mathematical inclination sold y'all, everybody else, $30 million worth of a bot that has no reason to sell. And I was laughing. I said, this isn't right. We need to be asking questions because the world of AI is now coming. Everybody's talking about it. AI, everywhere you talk about, everywhere you hear now, it's anywhere you talk, machine learning this, AI this, algorithm this. And the question I ask is, all these individuals you're asking, how have they ever touched an algorithm? Do they even understand what AI is in real context? Can they sit down and give you a full course, a full a full description of what AI is? But yet, once they mention AI and machine learning, everything, everybody jumps on it, but not asking the right questions. Again, I've read economics, and in economics right now, even to predict the GDP of a country is difficult because there's too many variables that controls the GDP of economy. Okay, let's for instance, if I want to sell a, if I say I want to sell a bot that predicts the stock for corn, do you know how many variables control corn? Do you know their products like the cereal has corn material in it? Your fuel you use for your cars have corn in it. So for instance, if I say, okay, I'm going to use fuel as a judgment of how stock prices of corn and go, do you know how difficult it is? With fuel right now even being influenced by the war and all that, do you know you can see the numerous layers of dynamic responses just to get a prediction of corn. And you have someone who thinks he can predict a stock market price because he sat down and did something. Then he then what, transferred it into a mathematical equation, then sold you a bot. There's a problem in this. So my question, my response is this: everybody in the next year, in the next month, couple of years, everybody will start saying AI, machine learning, and all that. It's gonna be a new. It's gonna be a new term, not new. It's gonna be a term everybody's gonna decide to fix into everything they talk about. AI this, um, marketing. If you want to be a great marketer, you can just use ChatGPT and AI this. But again, question is how diluted. If they have a limited source data, how diluted is that marketing um the marketing scheme that ChatGPT is going to produce, how diluted is going to be if you have everybody working on the same source data itself. That's the key. The source data is the key. Everybody's talking about AI and all that. We need to ask the question, how can we own this AI and make it proprietary to ourselves? That's the next step. The next step is to own that AI, to own that proprietary AI, to own the chat GPT. The next question you need to ask, what makes chat GPT work? And it's the source data. And that's why I'm talking about how to basically utilize AI effectively, how to utilize big data effectively to make a lot of money. Hey, Casual Economics. Yeah, I'm live. I decided to just jump on this live real quick because again, I've seen a lot of stuff uh, from Microsoft, the Microsoft layoffs, and all that good stuff. And again, it's funny. While I was seeing the layoffs, I was getting contacted by Microsoft about a job. Again, there's layoffs, but there's still jobs they can't fill. I know a lot of jobs, a lot of data analyst jobs, a lot of data science jobs, a lot of machine learning jobs they can't fill. Even the health sector, and that's funny. A lot of health data analyst jobs they can't fill. And I know, and what's funny is if certain, and I also know a lot of nurses who are trying to switch into a less hectic role, and I'm trying to convince them, hey, why not just learn a little bit of statistics, just a little. You don't need to be dangerous in it, and apply for a health analyst role, and it's remote, and it pays more. A health analyst in a hospital pays more than a nurse, and it's remote. You don't need to do much. Another role again I've been looking into helping out is HR. Everybody's talking about HR is going to be fully automated. They're going to be tools that's going to eliminate some jobs in the HR, but HR will still be needed. Especially even those tools that have been created. How do you think they're gonna basically the data is gonna be sourced? I've talked to a lot of I started talking to people who are doing HR analytics. They're making buku money. They're making 175, 180, 190 doing HR analytics. Just 185 doing HR analytics. They just learned basic statistics, stuff I can teach you in 3, 4, 5 months. Learn it, and if you have a HR background, you can switch into HR analytics because again, having a big HR brand and learning a little bit of analytics, you can make a lot of money in Google in a lot of places because they're looking for HR analytics. And I can teach you HR machine learning too. And quickly you can make real good money. Again, machine learning in HR is huge. Currently, I'm trying to develop a graphical neural network for a company to help them match their skills to the individual using a graphical neural network. I think I'm saying a little bit too much right now, but that's what I'm doing in terms of HR and all that, helping people. But what I'm seeing is everybody's talking about AI and all that, but nobody's telling you what it is, what it actually does. Everybody's going to start linking AI to, oh, I'm running a marketing company with AI. It's going to be big. Even right now, the Amazon they tell you it's fully automated. What define what automation is means in terms of Amazon? Where are you automating it? What is being automated? And that's the funny part. Nobody can tell me that. I think automation now is just being thrown anywhere. Automation this, automation that. And the question asked is, what is automated? How are you automating it? Where is the automation coming from? So I think right now the hype on AI is there. There's a lot of tools around AI, and AI is big. It's going to continue growing. But what's what's throwing people off is a lot of snake oil salesmen will start coming out, linking everything to AI. You're gonna have everything linked to AI, marketing, courses, Amazon. Everything will be linked to AI. But again, the question is, what is AI? How do we define AI? And nobody can. If someone who really nobody can, if someone who knows it will tell you what it is. It's just taking. Do you know? The funny thing is the one of the basic equations for most AI is simple mx plus b. But if you switch it up into neural network, it's wx plus b, but a summation of wx plus b. But just the mx plus b is a huge. That's my starting point and how I learned how I learned how the algorithms work. I started with the simplest equation, mx plus b, and I built my knowledge based on just that. I built my knowledge to understanding every part of AI, from machine learning, deep learning to reinforcement learning. And that's how I learned what AI is, by building a simple foundation and building up to it. And what I'm saying, I've been rambling around different aspects is this: AI is here to stay. Big data is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And now it's going to be a hype. There's going to be a lot of things attached to it. The question is, how do you equip yourself to know what is real and what's not? What knowledge do you need to equip yourself to know what's real and not? Yeah, simple linear regression. Simple. MX plus B. That's if you look if it's funny thing is, if you look at most AI algorithms, deep learn they built it on that. That foundation is built on it. And I've seen in most private companies, a linear regression is the easiest thing they use to automate their system to make predictions. To even I'm going to give you a secret. Do you know how people predict their housing, how the cost of housing is? They use a regression analysis, and they use different variables from all the variables from to predict how the price of a house is going to, basically using a regression analysis. That's it. But again, what I'm trying to say is this: the hype for AI and all that is going to be coming more and more, and being it's going to be pushed more and more into everybody's faces. My goal in this channel will try to basically give you that knowledge of saying, okay, what is fake and what's real. For instance, if I educate you enough, someone who comes in and tells you, I can make you a millionaire with my bot to help you predict stock markets. If I give you enough knowledge, you can say, no, that's not real, and stop selling fake promises. Right now, even the banks can't even do that. Banks can't make a prediction that good. Banks right now, banks are investing in quantum computing to make predictions on how the stock market will move, because it's too dynamic. There's too many variables controlling the stock market. That banks are now investing in quantum computing. So the goal of this stream is tackle two things. Yes, Microsoft is laying off. The world is not falling. There are more jobs than there are more layoffs. Really, there are a lot of more jobs than more layoffs. So please scratch that fear out of your mind. And again, I don't know why they're pushing that narrative. Oh, layoffs here, layoffs there. Amazon laying off, Microsoft laying off. Okay, Cigna has 50, I believe what, 500, 600 jobs. McDonald's, Nike. Go to Nike. Just go to Nike. Type data on their platform. You see a lot of jobs jumping off. Go to Adidas. Type data. A lot of jobs coming off. So there are more jobs than there are more layoffs. So the hype of I don't know why they're pushing that fear narrative. Narrative. The sky is falling. People Fang is laying off, so they lay off people now. I promise you, in the middle of the year, they're gonna start hiring a lot of people back. Well, if and also if you look at people they're firing, they're not firing really technical folks, and that they're firing mostly the administrative side. And if you look at the hiring in terms of Indeed and the administrative side, is so low that you can see the correlation between the firing and hiring because they're not hiring much people in Indeed and all that job search, and they're firing much people in terms of the administrative side. So again, let's not let's kill the hype on the firing and all that. There's too much hype on it. There's too much emphasis paid on it. We should be emphasizing on, oh, we need to get more people in this area. We need to get more people in HR analytics. We need to get more people in health analytics. We need to get people in legal analytics because they pay a lot of more. Nobody's talking about that. HR, human resources analytics. There's a lot of money. Director of HR analytics. Just learning the basic of machine learning, you could be a director because now everybody's trying to move into a data centric human resources side and understanding a little bit of machine learning, a little bit of HR analytics, and you have a HR background, you can run circles in your company. Yeah, administration, sales were mostly affected, but layoff 18K. No, I think it was it 18 or I think 10,000. I think Microsoft 10,000 and yeah, mostly administrative. But again, the question is, it's not the the main thing is the layoffs. All I always say is check Indeed. Just go into Indeed, type data scientist, data analyst, and you can see 300,000 jobs pop up. Type Indeed, software engineer, 400,000 jobs pop off. And these are jobs in reputable companies. So again, the hype is the hype is just a hype. The layoffs, you can't equate the layoffs to the amount of jobs in there. I promise you, go look just look at it. Go to Indeed. Or don't even go to Indeed. Go to the companies you want to work with. If you want to go to Nike, go look at Nike. If you want to work with Cigna, go look at Cigna. If you want to work for Aflac, go look at Aflac. McDonald's, all that. Go look at it. You can see their job board so much. Skilled labor is a shortage too, yeah. So again, the layoffs is just a hype. There's so many jobs. I mean, you can be a plumber right now and get a job quickly. Again, I I think there's in the blue collar and white collar there's a lot of jobs. What this is stoking is fear, and I think the fear is they're stoking fear is either I don't know why this fear is being stoked, but again, I don't know if they're trying to tackle inflation by using reverse psychology, but I'm not going to speculate. I'm more of a data centric guy. I'll look at the data, but these layoffs are just layoffs, and I promise you, in the next quarter or the next 2 quarters, they will be looking for a lot of people to come back from those jobs. So again, tech guys who I know are fine. They're still they still go to steak dinners, they still travel, they still do. When they see the layoffs, they laugh and say, "Okay, I get." If you think I go, if I maybe one of these lives, I'll show you my emails and phone calls and text messages I get every single day. Hey Patrick, are you looking for a job? Can you, are you available in the stock? Are you available in the market right now? No. Every single day, that's how I get a call. At least 2 calls a day. Are you available in the market? No, I'm not. Emails, everything. So again, the layoffs is not something people should dwell on. Just dwell on trying to make. If you want to go in the blue collar and do that, do it. The opportunities again, opportunities everywhere in the government sector and private. I mean, there are opportunities everywhere. And if you just focus on those layoffs, it will twist how you look at things. So please don't focus on it. I try not to. I just look at it as okay, that That's good for them because it will alter your perception of things. Layoffs, to me, layoffs are just okay, comes and goes, but there are more jobs out there, so these layoffs are not. So please don't focus. It alters your perception of things. And now that was the layoff side. Next side is the AI side. Again, those are the first topic was layoffs. Second is AI. When anybody's saying anything about AI, please ask them questions. Everybody's selling AI. I mean, I've seen on these YouTube streets, I've seen a lot. I've heard a lot and seen a lot. People selling AI for everything. Automation is like automation is for sale. They're automating everything. They'll probably automate. They want to automate everything. But the question is, what are you automating? What do you understand about automation? And that's what my life is. Is I've seen a lot of layoffs and I've seen a lot of AI automation, the fear of automation. And please don't fear automation. Automation is happening, but it's evolving your career. So, for instance, if everybody's talking about automating the vehicles, trucking, yes, it might be, it gets automated, fine, but it's going to create new jobs. For instance, towing, how people tow cars will be different. You're not going to hire someone with no background in certain how to program a fully automated truck to come and tow the car to tow that truck when it breaks down. No, you're gonna have someone who understands how the AI works and how that to actually tow that truck because you're dealing with sensitive sensors and all that, and then you're gonna then to tow that truck is gonna be unique. It's not just gonna be put in a tow truck and just jack it up and let it go. No, there will be some safety protocols in there that when it basically shuts down and okay, you want to tow it, have to release those safety protocols. So these are the things so now your towing now has to evolve into a more technical towing service instead of now just bringing a tow truck and just jacking up a truck. Now it has to be a more technical service, and now you have to hire more people with technical savvy skills and ability. So automation is coming, but let's not turn it into a blood spot that hey, everybody's gonna a lot of people, yeah, it's gonna affect people, but it's gonna evolve how work is gonna be done. It's gonna make it more efficient, and we're gonna see new jobs basically become more profitable and more better. Is Python the best programming language for AI and machine learning? Right now, yes, that's what I use. But I'm currently learning Rust right now. And yeah, Python and Rust, that's what I'm learning right now. But Python is the best right now. I don't use R a lot, but I just use Python. Right, again, deep learning, reinforcement learning program is all Python. And most companies they'll load your Python package quick. So yeah, Python is and it's easier too. Python is an easy language to pick up quickly, especially with machine learning. The one thing I'm going to tell you with machine learning, you don't need to be an expert programmer to learn machine learning. You ju- Again, you need to be good in mathematics and statistics, but you don't need to be an expert programmer to be a good machine learning engineer. Because again, you're just taking your algorithms and just turning it into code. That's it. You don't need to be an expert programmer, but you need to understand the mathematics behind it. Know when to utilize certain algorithms for prediction and automation, knowing how to look at a process and knowing when to automate the process, knowing how to define the objective, knowing how to visualize it, knowing how to do all that good stuff. But Python is a good program, and then I'm learning Rust at the same time. I'm learning a lot of programs at the same time currently because again I'm trying to keep up with my skills, especially with and then also learning I've learned blockchain, but I'm still learning programs around blockchain too. So Python is a good program, Wayne Wallace. But again, yeah, Python and stats. That's the thing. I laugh because mm, I've seen people making 115,000 just learning mean, median, mode, and standard deviation, and they make 150K learning mean, median, mode, learning how to do visualization in Tableau, and they're making 150K learning mean, median, mode, and standard deviation. That's it. And then make 150K learning those just mean, median. What you learned in middle school or high school? Mean, median, mode, standard deviation, and apply it in HR and apply it to your data sets in HR to tell your story in Tableau. And they pay them 150K. That's what they do all day. So there are opportunities you can utilize in them, but we just need to know those opportunities. It's and I'll start bringing out the opportunities like HR analytics, like health analytics, like again machine learning in HR, machine learning in HR. Right now it's regression. Regression, and I teach you some few stuff in machine learning, some classification and regression analysis. You can kill it as a machine learning engineer in human resources because nobody right now is paying attention to human resources, especially in machine learning and deep learning and all that. But just a few methods, you can kill it. So again, basic stats. You don't need to know the amount of stats I know. I know a lot of stats. I mean, again, even machine learning. I know a lot of stats, but you don't. What I've realized, you don't need to know to be a good data analyst. You really don't need to know all that much stats. Just basics, and knowing how to apply it and knowing how to visualize. And tools are helping to visualize are basically easy to utilize now. Tableau, Power BI, and all that good stuff. They pay someone 120K just to utilize Power BI. Their job is just to use Power BI on Tableau. Take your data and plug it into Power BI and Tableau. And Tableau and Power BI just pops out all your graphs, just knowing where to put the tables, and it pops out all your graphs and visualize and say, hey, this is what you have. This is the story it tells. And they pay the person 130K to do that. So why can't individuals start looking into these type of roles? Again, cybersecurity is brilliant. They can do all that, but there are other rules. Even in cybersecurity, the the SOC team. The SOC team is basically it's a high data analyst position. They utilize data to tell stories. That's just cybersecurity. SOC is an analyst, knowing statistics, telling the story, and visualizing, telling the story. That's what they use. They use data to see what happened, to tell the story on how their system was either breached or where the problems are. That's a SOC team. Simple as this. They analyze data. So I've been here 40 minutes, and I just wanted to just bring some aspect. I told myself I'll go live like once or twice. I'll probably start doing twice a week on certain topics like this, and start looking into human resources. Start looking at what's going on in AI currently. There's a lot of going on in AI, from drone technology to now countries are building certain tech sectors dedicated to AI. Dubai has a whole city developed for technology, AI being centered around it. Yeah, I'm planning on the schedule, probably on the weekend, Friday and Saturday. So Dubai has a whole sector, the whole city developed for a whole tech city that's centered around AI. Kenya is doing the same thing. Europe is doing the same thing. So my goal is, how can I teach people how to be a steward of data, how to use data. The funny thing is, everybody uses data. Everybody uses data on a daily basis. Everybody naturally utilizes data on a daily basis. You don't know. You do. You are naturally. Everybody's a natural data analyst, because you have, when people want to eat, they have a schedule on what they eat. Intuitively, you already take your time and say, okay, I eat every time at 12 o'clock, or I eat at this time at 12 o'clock, or eat at this time. Everybody has that data centric mindset. They do data. We use data on our daily basis. We as a human, we do data on a daily basis. So if we can utilize data on our day to day lives, how we eat, how we drive, if we want to go from one place to another, we look at, okay, how long it takes. It's going to take 30 minutes. What what roadblocks are we going to do? We're already analyzing just our path from going from here to work. That's a data analyst. We do it intrinsically, instinctively. That's what we do. We're data analysts instinctively. But the problem is, when we try to now bring that data side, that we do what we do ourselves instinctively, and try to say, okay, we're going to put some numbers and this. That's why we start having problems. But instinctively, we do data on a day-to-day basis, just trying to figure out how our drive to work is going to be. Oh, we're driving to work. It's going to take us 40 minutes. We probably see traffic here, here, here. You're already telling a story yourself as a data, or we do it instinctively. But problem is, when it comes to putting numbers in it, we then break down. Or when we do something we're not interested in, we break down. But we need to just train your mind. You're already doing this data stuff on your day to day life, and it's not easy. It's, once if we train ourselves enough, we can pick it up easy. And I'm going to give you the biggest secret I've learned on how I learn, and how I understand stuff. I am a, a student of being repetitive. I repeat, I repeat, I repeat till, if I fail, I'm going to repeat it. If I fail, I'm going to find another way to do it. I'm going to repeat it. I have a statistics book I've read. So I've read the book back to back 15 times, and I still read it to today, to understand every aspect of it, every sentence I miss, every aspect I miss. Anytime I read it, I pick up new stuff. Every day I read a book, that same book, I see new stuff I've missed. I said, oh, this stuff exists. Let me research it. And that's the secret of how I learn anything dealing with data. I reread till the book has a hole in it. Repetition, repetition. I read so much, my book has holes. It's tattered. While I'm eating, I'm reading it. Oh, this is this oil, yes, it's that. But I'm rereading till and every time I see new stuff, oh, I didn't know this sentence was this, and this max. Oh, can go this. Oh, I promise you, you become a master of that stuff. I've read so much. I've read books on AI and everything so much for the past 2 3 years. There's nothing anybody can tell me I won't tell you. I go to interviews, and they are so amazed on what I know. They ask that question. I even went to an interview. Someone asked me, am I doing a research? Am I building a AI company?" Because the way I talked about AI is like, I I was born with AI, but because I read it so much and repetitively find every nook, every cranny, every issue, every equation, every problem, and I got so good at it. So that's one of the biggest secret, repetition. Read till you will find, every time you read it, you will find something new. And that's how I understood how AI works. I understood how everything I want to know, I read every time. And that's my spiel for today. It's been 49 minutes. I don't want to go past an hour because I got some stuff I need to take care of. But this is the first live, and I'll be going on some more live. Step by step learning habits. It's boring stuff. This not saying the boring stuff pays. It does. That two things again: repetition and mindset. Everybody keeps saying mindset, but this is the secret to mindset. If you set, for instance, if I set my mind like, okay, I'm gonna make a certain amount this year. You might not reach that goal this year, but I promise you, if you look back, if the process of trying to just reach that goal, because your mindset has changed to, okay, I'm gonna make 5 million. I'm just gonna focus on making that 5 million. You start asking that question: what's the process of me making 5 million? What's that process? Then you start doing that process. That whole process, when you look back, I promise your life has changed. You might not get to 5 million, but you will get somewhere where your life is not the same from last year. That's a secret I learned when I was doing all this stuff. Because I was always saying, okay, I'm going to focus on getting this huge amount of money. When I look back, my life was different. That's the secret. Looking at that, saying, okay, mom, that might everybody saying mindset. Yeah, mindset is, but the process is the big key. The process of taking action and saying, okay, this is 5 million. How do I get there? What questions do I need to ask? How do I open the LLC? How do I go to SAMS.gov? How do I do this? How do I talk to these people? How do I network? How do I do this? That whole process of continue doing it, at one point, when you look back and say, okay, what happened this year? Your life has changed dramatically. So don't focus on just focus on how do I get here and what process do I need to get there. I started slowly. I started reading 3, 4, 5 pages of one book. I had a schedule. If even till today, I have a schedule. I have before I go to bed, I do my whole schedule for the week. On Monday, I have 3 books I need to read during the day. When I come back, spend time with the kids, spend time with the wife, and now everybody's asleep. I need to hit either do my live. Once I'm done with the live, I need to go do some stuff, draft some emails that I'm going to send tomorrow, read a book on time series, and then complete one other task. I already have a list of tasks, and that's what I do. And when you look up your life, at one point your life is already changed because that whole process of building it changes. And that's it's not a huge secret nobody's telling. It's just putting that action towards that process. It changes. And that's how I changed mine. And that's how I'll continue changing it. But again, there are a lot of opportunities. Forget take layoffs, forget everything. Figure out what the opportunities. Big data, there's a lot of, and just continue growing. I mean, big data from machine learning to just data analytics to data visualization. There's a role just called data visualization. Just a role called data visualization. Just one role. And there are so many jobs that they're begging. I mean, I get calls every day. So the question is, pick a lane. Choose what lane. Right now, I'm looking at. I have 5 different lanes I'm looking into, and again, I'm just playing around. I was even thinking of going to law school and look into AI law because again, the big. If you understand, the biggest money makers is once an industry is now profitable. Once an industry becomes profitable, the biggest way people then try to segregate you from the industry is through the law. The law is the biggest gatekeeper for industries. Once AI gets a lot bigger than this, the law starts coming in. The law is already starting coming in. Currently, there are no laws in AI. If you look at it, there are no laws around your data. Your data is not an entity. The biggest trick, and after when this industry, look at the cannabis industry. The law is now coming in to separate the winners from the losers. Same thing with AI and tech. Once this industry becomes so massive and so big, and it's even getting it's big right now, but once it gets to the point where it's big, the law starts coming in. The law starts making decisions on where what you can and what you cannot do with data. That's the next step. The law will come and become a differentiating factor in the area in the big data field. For instance, look at music industry. We have an AI producing music. So, for instance, if an AI comes in and takes 50 people's samples and takes and makes some music and becomes a hit, who owns that right? There's no law around that. Who owns that? Is it the 50 people that produce the sample, or is it the AI that owns the right to the music? There are no laws around that. With the painting itself, who owns that painting? The 50. If the AI samples 50 paintings, and now that painting becomes a great masterpiece, who owns that painting? AI owns the painting, or the 50 people who contributed with their data? Do they own that painting? Who do they own that masterpiece? Do they own a piece of that? So if that masterpiece makes 50 million, and those 50 people contributes 1% or 2%, do they take 2% of each of that 50 million? There's no laws around that. People are just jumping into chat GPT and all that, but they're not actually asking questions. How does the law decide what is what? How's the law going to be a differentiating factor in what you're doing? That's where the money is. The money's in this, but the question is, at the end of the day, how do people now navigate and make sure individuals know how how to make it more profitable for the other individuals and make other individuals less profitable? The law is a big part of it. Understanding how the law is going to affect you. Understanding banks, if banks decide to use AI or AI in terms of AI in controlling loans and all that, which they're doing currently. How does the law would the law be favorable to you, the individual who the AI decides, or the individual? Who decides that? The law decides that. But who controls the law? Do you have to? How do you understand the? Will you have to understand the law in reference to AI, in reference to big data? Because again, currently, there are no laws on the books in terms of data. And the funny thing, if everybody's saying the data is worth more than oil, why aren't there more? Why aren't there laws around your data? If data is worth more than oil, nobody's asking questions like this. Everybody's focusing on this. This is the next step is the law. The law will be now the deciding factor on how AI is utilized in your life. So educate yourself on how AI is used, or how AI is, or how analytics is. You don't want to be in the other side of that that decision making. You don't want to be the guy who's holding his hand out and saying, "I didn't understand what was going on." You want to be the guy who comes in and says, "What are you doing with this AI, and what kind of laws are you doing?" You want to be the individual who utilizes the laws for your benefit. So it's gonna hit an hour right now. I got work to do. Thanks for coming in, everybody. And hey, I'm gonna if you're gonna watch the replay of this, sure, watch it, enjoy it. But again, this channel will be here to educate people about knowing the career paths and where to go, but also how it's affecting your day-to-day life. And it's affecting. It's coming back. It's gonna affect it. So this is what the channel will be. So again, thanks for coming in, and I'll see you in the next live stream this weekend, and we'll talk more on other aspects of AI and maybe law and I want to aspect any aspects you want to talk about. We'll talk about it and delve into maybe how to get into the career itself, basic career data analyst and all that good stuff. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next live stream. Peace.